I'm not laughing at people that have a tough situation right now. This is just the reality of the market. 25 condos sold last month in the city of Toronto. Nothing is selling. Remember when you could borrow money for free? Are 0% mortgages actually making a comeback? See this poster, and it says 0% mortgages for 1 bedrooms with city views. Well, apparently you just have to buy a 1-bedroom condo.
It's the Tom Storey Show. Go on, step inside. Steve and Tom in the building, take you on a quick ride. We talking real estate moves, big goals aligned. Plus whatever we be thinking, yeah, whatever's on our mind. Okay.
Welcome back to episode 189 of the Tom Storey Show. It's a little bit weird for me this week, Steve, because I'm actually sitting in my office again. And for the last 3 episodes, I was with you, unfortunately. I was at my cottage. I was in my car. And then I was in your hotel room right after you had cracked open your hard-boiled eggs. So I got to say, I'm thankful this week that I'm at home. But I had a good time with you when you were in Toronto. Did you enjoy your time?
Why are you wearing a disguise then?
Well, we'll talk about that later.
You look, from my point of view, you look like you're wearing glasses and a fake nose and a fake mustache.
It's like the...
Your nose isn't that big, but wearing those glasses, it looks that big.
I'm testing out these new Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and I'm allowing the mustache to enter December because the feedback I've had from people is like, hey, it's not as bad as normal. You know, it's okay. And some people have said I actually like it. So I'm just going to roll with it. But welcome back to the show, everybody. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to December. We are almost wrapping up 2025, which is just crazy. It's weird. See, we've talked about this recently, just kind of not on the podcast, but how fast life is moving over the last 10 years seems crazy to me. I'm like referencing things that happened that I thought happened like a year ago. And my wife's like, that was 6 years ago. We did that thing. Are you finding that as well?
Do you know why life speeds up?
No.
Did
COVID just mess up everything though? Those years just, yeah, you got more of it. So it seems like it's happening faster.
Frame of reference, when you're like 2 years old, you only have 2 years as your entire frame of reference. So as you get older, life seems to speed up because your frame of reference is larger.
Maybe kids play a part as well. The kid years. Because, you know, when you're about to have kids, everyone's like, it goes by so fast. And you're like, thanks for being the 400th person to tell me that. And then it actually happens.
Yeah. I mean, it goes by so fast as a total, but every day is such a grind. Children. Every day is so slow, but then the years fly by. So,
well, thank you guys for being back here. If you haven't already, we'd love some new Apple podcast reviews. If you guys could go over there and leave us a review. And Steve, I was seeing this thing go viral online. I don't know if you saw this. It specifically said men over 40. Like there's something about when you turn 40, you can't say the word rough twice in a row. Have you heard this?
No. Is this a joke?
No, it's not a joke. Like I literally saw this thing. It was going everywhere that men over 40 couldn't say the word rough twice in a row.
I'm not going to try it.
You should try. Okay. All right.
No,
I don't think you can do it.
Bark like a dog or something. I don't believe you.
You ruined my joke.
No, I'm not going to do it, man. I knew there was something there. I was like, what is it?
All right. Well, either way,
I go
good.
Rough. Then what?
Good boy. All right. Let's move on.
You sound like my wife.
Let's move on to this week's show. We have 5 or 6 predetermined topics this week that we are going to go over. We're going to give you our opinions on them, and then we'd love to know in the comments how you're feeling with everything that is going on. Never a dull moment in Canadian real estate, but I feel like this week, Steve, we got a lot to talk about. What do you have before I start?
I want to ask people to subscribe because even though we've had lots and lots of views over the last few weeks, we have not had many subscribers. So if you're watching this far in already, subscribe. Thank you.
That actually was one of my predictions for 2025 is that this podcast would hit 8,000 subscribers. We're not too far off, but it's going to be close. We might have to have a really good December for things to get to 8,000. Let's go to topic number 1. Steve, I know this is happening in Ontario, so you might not be as informed on it, but have you heard about Bill C-60 and everything that's going on around it? Have you heard the conversation online?
I watched the hoopla in the legislature or whatever it is you guys have there,
where people were protesting and Ford told a few of them to go get a
and
job.
Ford told them to go get real jobs. I love it. I was thinking the same thing.
So Bill C-60 has passed, and I've seen two different comments about it online from different sides. You see the landlord investor side kind of celebrating, going, this is great. And then you see the other side, the tenant protection side, saying this is the worst thing ever. It's going to create more homelessness. Neither of those are true, by the way. I think all this does is accelerate things. If you are a renter and you pay your rent on time, congratulations, nothing changes for you. If you were worried about the fact that they were going to bring in fixed term leases that automatically didn't go month to month, that never happened. That didn't go through. So the actual things that have changed here, I'm going to read the list, and then Steve, I want to get your opinion on this to maybe show me how this is any different than BC. The first thing is that it used to be that if you wanted to move back into your own property, you could give 90 days notice. But even if it was your own property, you owned it, and you're moving back into it for your own living, like you're moving in as the new tenant effectively to your own property, you had to give the current tenant that was renting from you 1 month's rent compensation. That one always to me was a bit of a head scratcher. It's like, it's your place with proper notice after the end of that first year lease. When you're on month to month, you should be able to move into your own property. I personally had this own situation going back to 2019, and they just said no, and I had to go through the landlord tenant board. I ended up getting my place back. But what that's changed now is as long as you give 120 days notice, you do not have to pay them 1 month's rent compensation. So that compensation goes away. However, if you are selling your property, that 1 month's rent compensation still remains, even if the tenant is month to month. So that's change number one. Change number two, the non-payment of rent notice period is reduced from 14 days to 7 days. So I think this is on the tenant protection side. This is going to cause more homelessness side. They're trying to see, well, give people more time to pay their rent, right? But I think most people
that rent late.
I know. If you don't pay your mortgage, the bank gives you a little bit of leeway, and then they come take your house and put it up for power of sale. I don't understand why tenants had way more protection than mortgage owners. So that's number two. Number three is that the tenant must pay 50% of the rent arrears and any additional required amount before the hearing if they want to raise other issues. So what was happening, I guess, is they were going in, they finally got their court date after waiting this amount of time, and then the renter went, actually, this is also an issue too, which pushed that court date and just delayed it. So it was just this loophole in the system. So if you want to bring up new issues, you got to at least pay back 50% of what you owe the landlord. Seems reasonable to me, unless I'm missing something with this one. Two more here. The deadline to request a landlord-tenant board review of a decision is shortened to 15 days. And they're also going to define what persistent late payment means. There still is not a clear definition. To me, I think that's maybe pretty clear, but they're going to actually define it so that in these situations, they can say you fall into this category of persistent late payment. Does that mean you've missed rent late 3 times, 4 times? Is it 5 times? I guess we'll find out into the future here. So again, we had Kayla on the show, what was that, a month and a bit ago, and she had given us a heads up that there's going to be something coming out that landlords are going to be in favor of. I don't think this tips things too much more to the landlord direction. I just think this makes it much tougher to be a professional tenant that screws over people and ruins the system for everybody else. Steve, any thoughts, any opinions on these changes? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Would you wish they were coming to BC? What's your input on this?
I don't understand the point of the compensation. Like, so we have compensation for tenants. If you're moving into your own property, if you're selling your own property, it's 1 month's rent. The tenant can then move out with 10 days notice at any time with no compensation. So you could go 3 months or 4 months without any rent now as a result of your sale. I understand why you would give 1 month's free rent if it was 60 days notice, because now I need to find somewhere else and I may have to double up. So therefore I may need the extra money. But with 3 and 4 months notice, what the heck do you need the extra money for? Most tenants are gone in 10 days anyway. Like, they're out, man. As soon as they get that notice, they're gone before the 15th of the next month. So that one's kind of silly. Which one I was saying, we already have this. We have a design for late payments. I believe in BC it's 3 late payments is the max. So I'm assuming maybe it's either the 3rd or the 4th. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's defined as what your late payment is, or how many times in a 12-month period. Right. Because I went through this. We also don't have to wait 7 days. If you don't pay me your rent on the 1st, on the 2nd, you wake up and there's a notice on your door for eviction, 10 days.
Interesting.
10 days? 10 days.
I'm actually surprised that BC's... Yeah, okay.
You can dispute it, and then you go into the queue. Right. But my experience has been, if I send the first time I send a notice to my tenant for eviction, if they don't pay me right now on like day 2, there's not much late rent again after that point. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to think that we should just allow people to not pay their bills on time because they're just renters. Like, so you're not a part of society then that just has to do things on time as well. I understand things are hard. I understand things are difficult. They are for a lot of people. I was just crunching my numbers in my business this year. Let me tell you, it's a lot more difficult now than it used to be. So yeah, but as a part of being society, if you've got an agreement to pay your debts, pay your debts. Be some Lannisters, get out there, pay your debts, and do them on time.
Well, don't be the Lannisters. They do some weird stuff. They do pay their debts, but everything else involved with the Lannisters, I don't think you want to be a part of.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay. What I want to know is, does this bill passing make people want to be landlords again? Are you interested? Because so many people, but like, I've had this so many times, Steve, where people are like, I have a condo listing right now that I've said to them, like, hey guys, based on what your mortgage amount currently is, for us to sell this, it's going to have to be lower than your mortgage amount, and you're going to have to chip in to close this. Why don't you just rent it out and go rent something else for the time being, and we'll sort this out? And even knowing that their other option is sell it for lower than their current mortgage is, they're like, no, the thought of being a landlord and dealing with tenants in the current environment is not something I'm open to. So I'm curious if this tipped things a little bit, where people that were on the edge about becoming landlords, and I'm not even talking about buying a property just as an investor, but you own a place and you could sell it or you could rent it out to move to your next place. Are you going to think like, okay, because looking at these changes, first of all, you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't actually speed up the landlord-tenant board to have the initial hearing. All it does is it speeds up all the things around it, which I guess effectively should help things. You could still be waiting 6 months to get your hearing.
Yeah, but as soon as a tenant wants to get a hearing, I'm assuming the reason they're trying to speed that whole thing up is because as soon as they go, oh, maybe I don't have a leg to stand on because I wasn't paying my rent. Now they're going, well, what else can I Google to fight against? And then it's like, oh, this wasn't repaired or that wasn't repaired. So then they might be frivolous, but they're just going to end up putting those things forward before the tribunal or whatever it is. They put them in front of the tenancy board. Yeah. And then it just makes everything more complicated. I didn't realize every time they brought up a new thing, it just delayed
I didn't know that either. I was not aware of that. But to me, I see it as a positive sign. I think the only people that should be concerned about Bill C-60 are the people that were professional tenants that were screwing people over. And good. I'm happy you're concerned. I think everybody else, this is kind of common sense on all these different issues. This just speeds up timelines on things if you are not honoring your contract, right? Like, that's what it is. So I'm happy with it. I think they could have gone further. I actually, like, is there any other contracts, and please fill me in the comment section if you're watching this right now, that once the contract is done, just go month to month? Like, sports contracts don't do that.
My phone bill.
This episode of the Tom Storey Show is brought to you by Realty Ninja. Real estate agents, your clients should be proud of your website if you're going to feature their home on it. It's not 2005 and it's time to up your game. You need to have a website that is mobile friendly, that has SEO optimization, that people really want to actually go to and learn more about you. And that's where Realty Ninja comes in. They've built websites for thousands of real estate agents in Canada. We know a ton of people that have listened to the show have created their websites with Realty Ninja and they love it. And the best part, viewers and listeners of this show get 20% off your first year. So go to realtyninja.com/Tom to learn more. That's realtyninja.com/Tom. And oh, guess what? You don't pay until you launch your website. Go check them out because they're awesome. And now back to the podcast. Is your phone bill so it does that as well? Is this just a Canadian thing? Like, is there most contracts have a start date and an end date, and you can decide to renew them or not?
Yeah, we had that here in BC. We still technically have fixed term rentals here.
You do?
Except the exception now is that they have to move out. You cannot re-rent to the same tenant.
Got it.
So what I used to do was I would go, okay, we're going to do a 6-month lease. And at the end of 6 months, we're going to decide if we still want this to move on, right? And then at the end of 6 months, if they're a good tenant, do you want to do a year? Do you want to do 6 months again? What do you want to do? And then that got removed and rolled over month to month. But we still can have that section where it's like it is fixed term, but then it explicitly says, now I don't know how they're going to enforce it, but it explicitly says this tenant may not re-rent the same place because it's actually a fixed term and not something just trying to circumvent the system. But the fact that, yeah, we go to month afterwards is so crazy. And now I don't know what it is in Ontario, but we have to, like, if we do take it over, we have to live in it for 12 months.
I think it's 9 months to a year here as well. And if you don't, or they see it go up for rent again, the penalties are like 10 grand or more or something like that.
It's a year's rent here.
Is it that much?
Yeah, it's 12 months rent is the penalty now for any which reason. I just wish tenants also knew that, because there are landlords that are like, look, I can't make this happen anymore. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they're trying to make it work. So they evict the tenant wrongfully. I wish those tenants knew that they had that recourse, but most tenants are like, whatever, I'll move on. Like, that's the tenant lifestyle. That's why a lot of tenants are in that, because they don't want to be tied down to something. And they're just like, yeah, I just don't want to be tied down to something. I'll just move on. That's why they don't own. So that could be the same thing with a wrongful eviction. But
we were talking about this at dinner the other day. We actually just got back from Collingwood. We did business planning with Mike Kern's team and had this nice dinner. We were talking about Bill C-60 at dinner, which just shows how lame of a path my life has going, that this is a dinner conversation. But I was like, I wonder, like, I know the Canadian owner rate is like, what? It's like 60 something percent now, 62, 63%. It was as high as 69, and it's come down in recent years for home ownership. But City of Toronto, at least based on what ChatGPT was telling us, is almost 50-50 for owners to tenants. So you wonder why there was so much attention around this, and as if this was some bill that was going to like put people on the streets. I just don't understand why we need to make it okay for, like you said, one half of because they're deemed to seem to have more, because they're deemed to be seen as, I own this, which means I am. No, I mean the other side.
50% of the agreement is like, yeah, you don't really have to live up to your expectations, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Like,
I see.
You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to kind of pay late all the time, and it's just not. So
tell you what,
I don't know.
There's a lot of tenants in better financial positions than landlords these days. There's some tenants that rent from landlords that are probably way wealthier in terms of their net worth.
That is true. I heard. I had somebody who was thinking the other day about listing, and they ended up renting it out, and I'm scared for them, because they were like, we got somebody coming over to look at it, so I think we're going to rent it out. And then like 2 hours later, yep, we rented it out. And I'm like, there's no way you did your checks unless you used Front Lobby immediately and did your checks right away. There's no way you did your screening of that tenant. So I just have my fingers crossed for them that, I don't know.
We have
it's going to be one of those ones where I'm not going to be shocked if in 6 months or 3 months they phone back and go, I got a nightmare. What do I do? I hope they don't, but you don't know.
We just rented out a place earlier this week, and we were gonna put it up for sale, and last minute the client decided like, I don't need the money right now, and they weren't like, wait till next spring, like they can wait till 28, 29, 30, they're fine. And so we rented it out, and they liked the fact that in the tenant application they actually wrote this nice little letter, and they put in the letter, we've been actively putting money into our first home savings account with a goal of buying our first property. And my landlords were like, awesome. This means you're not going to be here for 5 years, and it will probably line up perfectly with when you buy your first place. That's when we'll sell this place, or maybe you like this place so much you end up just wanting to buy it from us. But I'd like to know...
Most tenants are a year to 18 months on average anyway, right? There's not too many tenants that last past 3 years, I find.
Yeah,
18 months, I would say, is the over-under on any tenant.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know the numbers on that. But let us know what you guys think. Does Bill C-60 passing, does it make you more open to becoming a landlord in Ontario? That's what I'd like to know. Does it ease the pain of some of the horror stories you hear online? Or is it just like, okay, it speeds up the bad tenants a little bit, but doesn't really change much? Topic number 2. Steve, One Bloor West. We've talked about this slightly on this show before. You're aware of what this condo is and the fact that like they launched it, it did really well, then they went bankrupt. Then Tridel took over.
Okay.
So there's an update on this project because this was I feel like this thing launched like 8 years ago, and it was supposed to be like an Apple store is the anchor tenant on the bottom. And it's gonna be this super luxury mix of maybe hotel and condo, and like this is, I mean, the one, right? Literally, the marketing was telling you, like, this is the condo that you want to live at. Probably just like buying in a Four Seasons private residence or Shangri-La, there's a bit of name attachment associated with the fact that you're not just buying another condo. Like, this is something that is very, very high end. Well, fast forward 8 years later, Tridel has now taken over this project, and I'm very happy that they're the developer that took it over because they are very good. And what happened is Tridel went to the courts and basically said, this project needs to be reset. We took this over, but it's a different economic environment now, and we cannot honor the initial contracts that were purchased in 2017 and 2018, which I'm guessing were still at an extremely high price per square foot, probably 1,600 to 1,800 a square foot for this building back then. And they won. So the court has approved the cancellation of 314 out of the 329 condo purchase agreements. These initial buyers will receive their full deposit back with interest and get first access to rebuy in the project when it relaunches. The building is going to now be redesigned with fewer, larger, so this sounds good, right? Until you hear the next part. More luxury-oriented units. Essentially, the economics of the original deal no longer work, so the court allowed the developer to restart the sale process to ensure that the tower could actually be finished. Okay, so first of all, when I first heard this, I went, oh man, aren't these purchasers lucky? They got let out of their agreements. I've been getting calls for months from people saying like, Tom, I bought a pre-con at $1,600 a square foot. How can I get out of this? And I'm like, call a lawyer. Like you can't
but not
really.
That building.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was actually an article that came out, and there's guys like, man, I'm pissed off. I really wanted it. I bought 2 units in there, and like, I'm mad that they canceled it. And to think that, you know, looking at today's environment, that Tridel believes enough that maybe it was just a fact of like, if they honored these contracts, they couldn't continue building, and this thing was just going to fall apart again, even though it's like the building's there, just they haven't done the interior finishes yet, but it's been built up. Like, it's not like a hole in the ground. Like, they've been building it.
Is it a roof on, or is it still building up?
I think there's a roof. I don't know. I haven't driven by recently, but I've seen some stuff online. It looks like it's the exterior, I think, is finished. I think they're
It
just
makes me wonder how wonky the building and the layouts are going to be if you built it all for these style of layout, and then you're going to swap it over and like,
Well,
oh, by the way, we've got this 4-bedroom now that happens to have 2 micro kitchens in it for some reason.
But it's interesting to me that, first of all, the court approved it, and that Tridel believes that they can sell this for more, like they're going to launch them at higher prices. That they believe that in 2026, when they relaunch this, they're going to sell it out at even higher prices than, because I know 8 years sounds a long time ago, but pre-con prices in 2018 and 2019 are still higher per square foot than resale condos today. Like significantly. And people were paying a premium for this building then. They're probably going to relaunch this thing at $2,000 plus a square foot when everywhere else can't even sell at $1,400 a square foot for.
So they're going to wait a year before, so they can carry it for another year before they start selling units again?
Well, I just don't think this is the environment that they're going to try to relaunch it when literally no one is selling out anything. Did you see the report?
So they're going to have them finished and then walk people through and you get to pick? Like
that I don't think so. I still think they're leaving the floor plates open. They've probably built their new blueprints in terms of what they're going to build and what they're trying to sell out when they relaunch it. And then you can pick your finishes. But yeah, it will be interesting because it's going to be, you're not going to have to wait that long to get the unit in this situation. You might actually be able to go in there and walk around the floor plate versus what it was like previously buying the floor plan off the wall, basically, right? So
that would make me a lot more interested if I was one of those rich buyers and I actually got to walk the actual unit, even if there's no walls up yet and the whole floor is empty. I get to like tape it out maybe and walk where things are going to be, and then you get to pick your colors, and then all the rich people end up there.
Well, all the rich people are going to end up there, and I guess what they're trying to focus it more towards is more end user driven, bigger floor plans, which is something we've been talking about for a long time. You know, these are going to cost $1.5 million to $20 million or whatever it is for the biggest ones. It doesn't solve any housing. But do you think it's fair that they canceled the contract? I would guess, I know there was the media report of the one guy being like, oh man, I'm pissed. I really wanted this thing. I bet more than half of these people are like, thank God they canceled these contracts and I got my money back with interest. This would have been a bad investment for the next 10 years anyways. Yeah.
I don't know how fair it is because I had a similar thing maybe upwards of 10 years ago now. There was a developer that actually ended up going to jail in the States here in Langley. It was a very infamous thing. Guy was a total scam artist. Sold the units multiple times over and kept the deposits. That's how nice of a guy this guy was. But my guys bought an assignment in there right before it was going to close. We actually went through the deficiency walkthrough. We got that far. The deficiency walkthrough, like a week, 2 weeks before closing. And then it went back to court and the judge canceled everything and they resold them. Yeah. So my guys it was a whole deal. They ended up walking away, but in the meantime, that was probably 2015, 16. The market went up 30%.
Right.
And
so they wanted them. They didn't want them to be canceled. This was like,
they would have loved it. Yeah. Right. They would have absolutely loved it. And then they went back to market and they went back at a higher price. And I mean, if you're going to do that, I understand the logistics of it. At the very least, you got to offer those same people back.
Well, they are
something.
They are,
like they
but
have,
at
those people
the
should
new
have
launch
first right
price.
of refusal. Yeah.
Well, they have first right at the new price.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know how many of them
how much you wanted it.
Want to go back in. You know what? I'm actually going to jump ahead here, but I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. Would you be pissed if I think most people would be happy if their pre-con contract was canceled these days, but it seems like there's a few people specifically for this project that were not good about it. And do you think it's fair that they canceled these contracts? Talking about contracts a lot in this show so far. I'm going to skip ahead here and jump down the page here, Steve, for our topics, because I think this lines up nicely to what happened here. That Surrey condo project, was it called Belvedere Condos?
Oh, okay,
was that
yeah.
the developer?
I didn't know if you want to talk about this one or that other one.
I want to talk about this first. So can you give us an update on where things are at? Because last time we talked about on the show is like, wow, this big marketing genius put them as 25% off and had a line out the door, and they sold out like almost the rest of the remaining inventory. And then where are we at now?
Buying a home is a big deal, so don't let your home inspection cause you more stress. For over 45 years, Carson Dunlop has helped buyers across Canada understand the homes that they are buying with detailed, calm, clear, client-first inspections. Carson Dunlop inspectors don't just point out problems, they explain what really matters in a way that will protect you in your home purchase. If you want confidence in your home inspection, top agents and home buyers trust Carson Dunlop. So to check out where they service and to book your inspection, go to carsondunlop.com right now. So if you remember, we did cover it on the show. They were the ones that put up the big sign, 25% off. And in this market, they had a crazy lineup out the door of people that couldn't wait to buy the 25% off. Well, now maybe we find out why they were giving 25% off. So they did a flash sale, if you want to call it that. It's a 30-story unit or complex or building or whatever you want to call it here. Great location if you want to live in Wally. It's, right across from the SkyTrain stop. Good spot. Looks like a nice building. Then they ran into a little bit of an issue. They have now applied for, I guess, receivership or whatever you want to call that.
They're $39 million in debt.
$39 million in debt. So now we get to really get the scoop.
So
because court documents say what is the scoop. So there is apparently 275 units in the building, plus 5 rental units for who knows what reason. I don't know. But 40 units went unsold. Now, 40 units went unsold, but this was being advertised as sold out way back in the day. So that means 40 units didn't complete. It didn't complete. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say given back. I would say breach of contract again. So that's 14.5% of the building. I'm assuming that 40 units is after the flash sale. So how many did they sell at the flash sale of 25% off in order to try and make things happen? So when you see something like 25% off, you might want to worry a little bit. Now, this building is constructed.
It's done. It's not like this is plans that people are living there.
This building is constructed. I actually had a phone call from a person that worked for the developer that got a cheap deal in this building. Cheap deal, friends and family, at $880 purchase price for a 800 square foot unit, which is insane for us here in Surrey, and it's worth $600 now or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, do whatever you can to walk away. Well, maybe now she's out of a job because I don't know how much longer this is. Now, it is also this developer who I've never heard of before has also been tied to 2 other developments at the same time. So it seems like everything's kind of stacking up on them. But yeah, they're $39 million in debt, missed a payment, and they have 14.5% of their units still available even after that great successful sale. And therefore, they're walking away. Now, they're walking away after the building's done, which is
that's what I'm saying. So now what's going to happen is essentially the lender is going to take over these 40 units and sell them all again. And should the people that currently live in these other units in the building that they bought and have moved in and are enjoying their time and their life, is this now going to, first of all, the reputation of the building is just screwed for resale value for a long time, which sucks for the people that actually bought it to go live in there and go like, I want to own a property and this is a new property. That sucks for them.
I wonder how much 25% off is off of now. You know what I mean?
Well, with these,
that was the new market.
With these 40 units that are already built, it's just leftover inventory at this point. So if they take them over like a foreclosure in BC, but with this many units, I would think on that level of that many, you'd try to sell them all to one like pension fund or something. You probably wouldn't want to do it individually. But I just feel bad for the people that bought in the building to actually live there. And now this building has a terrible reputation. Anytime you look at the address, this is going to pop up.
I'm just reading it right now, the article, and it says it has a total of 22.2 million of secured debt to the property and 16.7 million of unsecured debt. Who's going to lend you $16.7 million on like handshake? Yep, good, no problem. We're groovy there.
Not a bank, not a big bank.
So I guess those people keep living there. I don't know what happens from this point
Yeah,
forward.
nothing's going to change. The building's registered. They're going to live there.
I wonder if they're just going to take those 40 units and sell them to one developer who can then slowly sell them off over an amount of time, and then wipe out all of the debts, or if somebody else has to try and take on. I mean, I don't know how they're also tied to the other two developments as well. So
the best thing possible for the current owners of the building is that those 40 units, if they're sold all at once to a big investment firm, is that they do not get sold individually on MLS, because it will crush value in that building for the current owners. Best case for them is it's done privately off the market.
I have a listing in the area, a very nice listing in the area. But I mean, the direct comparable one bedrooms in that particular area, there's 150 currently on the market. And it's like
prices lower than probably
5 sales last month.
Yeah.
That is the toughest market, particularly the one bedroom. Speaking of one bedrooms, can we go back up?
I will. That's the next topic. But I just want to say this is a very interesting case study of when people say, developers, stop being so greedy, just lower your prices and then you'll sell out and you'll be fine. Just like some people that can't afford to sell because they're underwater, where their purchase price is lower than their mortgage, or the value is lower than the mortgage. In this case, the developer was like, "Okay, this is the last option that we have," and even that didn't save them.
I just want to know how many it was there. So it says that they sold 38 units
during the flash sale. Okay.
So if that's the case, they still have 40. So let's call it 40 and 40 if we're rounding it out. So that means 30% of the buyers walked away from
the flash sale.
From the original development. Because I'm assuming the flash sale people didn't walk away.
No, I think some did, because the initial reports from that flash sale was they sold out like 80 to 85% of their remaining inventory. And then we were talking about on the show back then is like, I wonder how many people in their 10-day cooling off period actually go through with this.
Oh, maybe that section. But my mind is they had sold out in like 2021 or 2020 when they dug the hole, 2018 even. They sold out at that point, whenever that was. And then 30% of people didn't complete. And then they likely had the 38. I don't know how many would have walked away. That would have been interesting to find out too, cooling off period. But you likely had upwards of 25 to 30% of buyers walk away from their original purchases that were sold out way back in the day.
Just remember that nothing in life is free. And if it sounds too good to be true and developers are giving out tons of incentive to increase your interest level to purchase the thing, there is probably a reason why. Now, with that down, let's move on to, I think, our biggest topic of today. Now, Steve, remember those good old days in 2021 when you could get an interest rate under 2%? Well, there's a condo developer here in Toronto that says, actually, guys, remember when you could borrow money for free? Remember when it was 0%? Are 0% mortgages coming back to Canadian real estate? Well, apparently, you just have to buy a one-bedroom condo from this one developer. Now, this developer is Lifetime Developments. And by the way, I'm not about to talk crap about them. I actually think Lifetime's a really good developer. I think they're stuck in a situation like everybody else selling new construction homes right now, that they're trying to find ways to sell out their project. And they're looking at different marketing campaigns and ways to do it. So just to be very clear from the beginning, I'm not making fun of them. I'm not laughing at people that have a tough situation right now. This is just the reality of the market. And interestingly enough, I literally parked my car downtown like 2 weeks ago, got out. I was outside of their sales center. I wasn't going into it, but that's just where I parked my car. And I look and I see this poster and it says 0% mortgages for one bedrooms with city views. And I was like, oh my God. So I literally took a video of it, posted it on my Instagram. I think as of recording this, Steve, it's at 170,000 views and like hundreds of comments. My most viral piece of content ever, which took the least amount of effort. And all I said was like, sums up the state of the pre-construction industry. And the comment section was pretty funny. So basically, this building
was that. Sorry, that was Instagram or that was
that Instagram first, and then I was like, whoa, this is doing well. I posted it as a YouTube short, did like another 65,000 views in like 3 days.
Man, you're finally getting views. Hey, I saw you got a big boy video too the other day that had 100,000 views on it.
Yeah, but the video I actually want people to watch currently has like 2,000 views, and it's my most educational, informative video ever on my channel. If anyone wants to buy a resale condo, it's like literally I spent hours and hours and hours of my life putting this together and making it amazing for you. I'd rather you go watch that, but the reality of the internet is they're going to go spend time on the doom and gloom stuff. So it is what it is. But so are 0% mortgages actually making a comeback? No, of course they're not. Is one developer likely buying down the rate with a huge asterisk beside it, saying that if you buy our condo at, I don't know, $1,500 a square foot right now for a 1-bedroom, which they're having the most amount of trouble selling, we'll buy down the rate for your first year or 2 years? Like, I don't know the exact specifics. I actually tried to scan the QR code and go check out the site, learn more about it, and it like maybe try to sign in. So I was like, oh, whatever. I'm not that interested in this. You give me the information.
Need your phone number before,
or I'm out of here. Yeah. But this is another interesting thing where like a lot of the comments that I saw on the content that I put about this 0% opportunity, which, you know, you're getting 0%, but you're paying a ton for this new condo where you go down the street and buy one literally, in some cases, literally 40% less expensive for the exact same. Yeah. Because so this is premium location, good developer. They probably bought the land. Who knows, in 2021, the interest rates they have on everything else going on, like there's a reason why they can't bring down their prices where they just have to sit and wait. Like I wish it was as simple. No, not built at all. They haven't even gotten close to this. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think they've gotten close to the 70% to get their construction financing. Hence
is like,
hence why they
started yet.
No, they can't even sell it out. This is just a way to get it to the point that they could actually start building. So yeah, I don't know. Do you think though, this type of marketing, whether it's the 25% off for the Surrey condo, which we could argue it worked or didn't work, but it still sold more than they would have had if they didn't do it, right? Maybe their situation would have been slightly worse if they didn't do it. Then you've got this developer using this type of like eye-catching marketing, 0% mortgage, which isn't actually 0%. Obviously, there's always nuance to these things. Do they have any other choice is my question? Like, what else are they going to do?
But in 6 years from now, when it's built, I might like that 0% mortgage for a year.
But not at the price you're paying for it.
0% mortgage.
No. Stop the 0%. Think about
at what bank?
Well, they've got something going on with a lender to offer this, right?
They got to buy down with TD or RBC or whatever it is. And then what are the terms? Is it like 0% for 1 year and then 38% for the next 4?
Right. There were some pretty funny comments on it, like 0% for 1 day. But I don't think they have any other choice. And hear this, there's 25 new construction condos sold last month in the city of Toronto. Yeah. Nothing is selling. They're getting desperate. Which, by the way, mainstream media, for the love of God, stop spreading misinformation. Every news article, 25 condos sold in Toronto last month. That's bullshit. There was like 1,500 that sold in the GTA and over 1,000 that sold in Toronto. You're picking on the one part of the industry where nothing is moving. And if someone reads that headline and moves on with their day, they're like, oh my God, condos are screwed. It's like, some are screwed. Some are doing fine right now at today's prices. But I don't know, like if you're a developer, what else do you do? You twiddle your thumbs all day, or think, okay, how can we do something that's going to grab people's attention? And even though I think that 0% is ridiculous and you're just overpaying for it. I saw some Instagram posts where some realtors were saying they were giving away cars to buy houses at this new development. It's like, well, why do you have to do that?
And why do you have to give away a Bentley?
Yeah, because it's overpriced. However, regardless of what I think or you think, or it seems like 90% of the internet thinks, that might work on some people. That might get some people through the door to have a conversation like, okay, well, 0%. Well, what does it actually look like? What am I paying for this? They've now walked into the sales center with someone that only wants to sell them that product that isn't going to tell them, hey, you could go down the street. Tom actually has a 2-bedroom for sale in a building that's 7 years old for $950 a square foot.
One of those 25 people last month, I would love to talk to one of them. Is that like the census for morons to find out how many morons?
You know what?
But I would love to have a conversation. Like, what did you buy? Why did you buy it? Why didn't you buy this thing, this other thing?
Maybe though there was, I don't know if they're counting it this way, but maybe that's inventory that's built but not sold as well is in those numbers, which would even be sadder actually if the number was that low. Well, there's still lots of. Sorry.
Like how many per month were selling at the peak?
I don't know. They weren't reporting on them like this because it was a crazy number that it was never at least publicly reported on. Like Urban Nation would have the data, but I never saw it as a news headline. Nobody cared. Just they all sold out.
You got to find the one salesman that's still doing it. How many did you sell last month? 3. Okay, thanks.
I don't know. I'd love to know from the people watching the podcast this week, what would they have to do? Because I've had conversations with people that are very much in the know. And I'm like, guys, like, what's like the lowest price they could launch at? And I'm talking about like downtown Toronto. What's the lowest price they could launch at to actually make selling the project kind of work? Even if the margins aren't what they initially wanted, but they just want to get this done and keep the lights on. And I've heard like 1,100 to 1,200 might be doable. But most of the downtown ones are still launching at $1,300 to $1,500. Well, they're not even launching. They launched years ago, and they're still sitting there trying to sell out their inventory. So I think pain is going to exist for a long time in this side of the market. But if you're celebrating that only 25 homes sold and this is good that nothing is selling, you might not feel that way in 5 to 10 years when there's 0 new condos and we're going to have an issue here. I feel like I took over that segment and didn't really let you speak too much. You have any final thoughts on that one?
I think you did good, Tom. I'm going to let it there. I talk too much sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. And
by sometimes, I mean all of the time. So this time I'm not going to.
Well, I'd love to know, what would it take you to buy a pre-con in today's market, or would you just be staying away from them forever now based on, what people are going through today?
Put me in that camp. Stay away forever.
Steve?
I've never liked pre-cons. Hey folks, if you're looking for a real estate agent in the city of Toronto, let's face it, you gotta call my buddy Tom Storey of the Storey team and Royal LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. They're your obvious choice because Tom is not just the co-host of this podcast. No, he is a real life and top producing real estate agent in the city of Toronto. There's nobody out there that knows the condo market better than Tom and his team in downtown, but they do service the entire city of Toronto and any of your residential real estate needs. So if you're looking for an agent, do not hesitate to reach out to Tom, book a call with him using the link down below in the description of this podcast, and let Tom guide you through your real estate journey. And now back to the podcast.
With that down, we're going to move on to what Benjamin Tal said about the economy. We had chatted about this a few weeks ago that we were heading to a conference, and even though Ben Tal doesn't do a lot of stuff that goes onto YouTube because of the bank rules, we were able to write down what he said. I'm not going there today. We were able to write down what he said because we were sitting front row at a conference and he was speaking. Me and Steve took notes like good little students. I actually wrote down the notes, Steve. You don't have to bring them out. Like I can talk.
You might not have the same notes as me. Okay. I'm not buddying off of you, Tom Storey.
I was cheating off your notes, so we probably have the same notes.
Well, they're correct then.
So for people that don't know, Benjamin Tal is the chief economist at CIBC. He also very much predicted a year ago that exactly at this point in time, we would be at 2.25% overnight rate by the Bank of Canada. He is humorous in the way that he delivers. He's not your typical economist. And one day, Ben, we'd love to get you on this show. But
never meet your heroes, Tom Storey.
Yeah. Let's talk about what he said. Okay. So the first question was essentially, Ben, what happened? Why is sales volume so bad? Because end of last year was actually looking pretty positive, and we actually started 2025 feeling like pretty good. My God, Stephen, we have to review our predictions from last year. It's going to be really scary stuff based on when I was making those predictions, the feelings we were having going into 2025. And so here's what he said. The number one issue for the slow market is Trump. It's not the Bank of Canada, and it's not Carney. It is Trump. Now, Trump didn't make the pre-con condo market what it is. He didn't make condo sales slow, but a market that seemed to have some steam was completely stopped. And what did you say to me, Steve? Like when the election happened, some people were telling you they're like staying in place, like as if it was the pandemic again.
Sheltering in place. Yeah, they were using the pandemic terms.
So he said that the number one issue is Trump, regardless of whether you like the guy, despise the guy, you like some of his policies, you hate all of his policies. As Canadians, we are fixated on what's going on over there and this trade deal that never happens, and how tariffs are going to crush our economy. And Brendan Augmanson did a good job, giving us a heads up on what this could look like. And they actually ended up being worse than he anticipated. He thought they'd only be 10%. So the first thing he says, Trump is the issue. Do you agree with that, Steve? Like that's the reason why we're where we are today, mostly because of him?
The news coverage of Trump was the issue.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way of saying it. The way it was portrayed to Canadians and the Canadians that watch the news, that's why it's become the biggest issue.
I think it was fear from the boomers is our biggest issue. That's our biggest issue. Was our biggest issue in January, February, March, April.
Gotcha. The second thing he said was that tariffs are not going anywhere, so get used to this. There's no magic deal happening that tariffs just disappear and we're all back to how it used to be with Biden or with Obama or whatever it was. They're not going anywhere. Get used to it.
Unless Gavin Newsom comes back, maybe unless he comes and gets elected, which I think would be disgusting. But if they elect a Democrat as president next time around, who knows?
Well, tariffs are not going anywhere. He also went on to say, time will lift the fog from Trump. Time heals all, Stephen. It heals guilt. It heals loss. It heals Trump being the president. Like it wasn't that long ago that he took office. It was in 2025 for his second term, but the fog will slowly remove as other things start to happen. So I thought that was at least like a positive note. Now I'm done talking about that guy. He then went on to say the Bank of Canada cuts are over unless something very unexpected happens. So this episode, I think, is coming out before the December announcement. I think it's pretty clear they're going to hold in December. Maybe I'll be wrong, but we'll see. You agree with that? Because he said they'd get to 2.25 and then they'd stop. He was bang on with his prediction a year ago.
He not only says they'll get to 2.25 by this time next year, which was the previous year, so he's right about that. He says we are now in this holding pattern for 12 to 18 months.
Yep.
So he thinks that the Bank of Canada will be the most boring Bank of Canada timeline for the next 12 months. If we just stayed here. Yeah, because the market gets better with stability rather than fluctuation. So somebody like him has contacts with the Bank of Canada, and he said the last rate cut was pretty much a 50-50 at the Bank of Canada.
They didn't want to do it, but they decided to do it so they wouldn't have to deal with it anymore.
So they wouldn't have to deal with it. Yeah, so they can so he thinks his prediction is that it will not move in any considerable way. He says not at all, but in any considerable way for the next 12 months.
There's breaking news that just happened, but this episode is coming out a little later, so I don't know if I want to bring it up now. Whatever. I'll just say it. Ontario government takes control of RICO, which is what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We talked enough about that.
We'll talk about that later.
My Bental quote that I wrote down was, real estate now is too expensive to build and too cheap not to buy. So we can't build new product, and it makes no sense not to, at this point, not to buy old, already established stuff. So he thinks in that sense, that quote means building is all stop, which is kind of what we were talking about earlier.
It's exactly what we were talking about.
Half of this podcast. So I just thought that was an interesting way to think about it. Too expensive to build, too cheap not to buy.
He also said that there's only two things in Canada that are taxed at a higher rate than housing. Do you know what they are?
I do, because I wrote that one down too.
Tobacco and alcohol. Those are the only two things in Canada that are taxed at a higher rate than, I mean, maybe probably your income taxes are higher than all those, but the things, not necessarily your income, but things that we buy.
And he always ties a joke to it. So the joke was tobacco, alcohol, and housing are all the biggest sins in Canada because they're taxed the most. And I was like, oh, what a great line.
He had talked about the fact too that the cities, especially places like Toronto, at some point here are going to have to, kneel and go, okay, fine. Our development charges are not going to be ridiculous. We're going to cut them so you can actually build something in the short term and bring down the prices to the end consumer. Are they going to go away forever? Of course they're not. Of course they're not. Could they limit them for a period of time to stimulate building? I think they should. He specifically said we need to stimulate short-term demand to stimulate supply. Now, these are all he's saying things that we've been saying forever, and it's like he chat GPT'd our thoughts and just said it in a much more simple way. But it's clear. We're going to have issues in the future if we don't build now, but we can't sell now because of what they paid for it and how much the government is taxing the housing at today's prices. It's just a mess.
So he brought up the fact that most cities in Canada in the last 10 years increased their development fees between 700 and 800%.
It's a joke.
That's most cities. So they're addicted to the taxes. And he actually said at that point, he was telling a story, and I love his stories, about meeting with Olivia Chow.
Oh yeah.
And he asked her specifically, how much on average do you plan in the budget to get per door built out of these new developments? And she said $75,000 per door. And he said, that's great. Now, his jokes are so good. He said, I don't have my calculator with me, but quickly, maybe you can help me out. What's 75,000 times 0? That's how much taxes you're going to get off of developments next year.
I wonder if he actually said that to her face, or he in hindsight was like, that's what I wanted to say, and this is going to make a good story. But either way, it's funny.
Definitely it's his storytelling, but that is the type of delivery gives, but it's that simple to think of, right? It's like you got these, $250,000 per door or whatever the heck it is in taxes and fees, but they're not getting any of that anymore. That's the problem with taxation, right? So taxation is you have a wet rag and it's dripping out and you're like, oh, good, we got to get some of this water out of here. And you squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it. And eventually there's no more water. That's what taxation is, because you've taken all the water and you haven't let anybody else get it. So you're way better off to get small amounts of taxes off of a prosperous economy than you are a lot of taxes off of a shit economy. And that's where we're at. But that's the way people think. People think people that go towards the left-hand politically side of things that want the rich to pay and all that sort of stuff. What they do is they think that tax strategy is just unlimited. Even our capital gains thing that never went through last year, their projection was this is going to be a short-term cash grab and it will crush the economy. The Liberals' own projection was that, but they needed it so much now.
Did they need it for the budget or something? The initial squeeze was just going to help the numbers not look as bad?
Yeah, the initial squeeze was going to get it from 61 or 62 billion down to 40 billion.
Right.
And so that's the problem, though. You wring out the cloth. You got to fill the water in the cloth and then catch what drips off of it, not keep wringing it until I can't get anything more out of it, because then we end up in the situation we're in.
He also brought up this point here. 52% of new Canadians come from one place.
From one country.
Maybe we'll just give the viewers a second to put in the comments where you think that is.
Where do you think 52% of new Canadians come from? Which country do you think they come from? Type it in the comments right down below.
The answer is Canada. They're already here. That's not what you thought, was it? They're already here. They're already living here. And then they're becoming citizens. They're already here. Half the people that they're going to announce that are coming, that are new Canadians, are already in Canada, and now they're officially Canadians, right? It caught me off guard. I knew what he was doing when he was setting that up, because everyone's like, "Oh, I know. It's very clear where immigration has come from," right?
I wasn't thinking that
You weren't
at all. No.
You knew it was Canada. You knew where he was.
Man. I live in Surrey. I wasn't thinking that country at all. I think the exact same thing as everybody just wrote in the comments.
What I thought was interesting that he said next is he said that, you know how we talk about like new people coming to Canada and the typical amount of time it takes them to get to a point that they can consider home ownership, and usually the number that's thrown around is like 5 years. Ben said that this group of new Canadians that was already here, from the moment they become Canadians, citizens, it's about 2.5 years. Now, collectively, they could have been here for 2.5 years anyways. So he's basically saying, when you hear these numbers saying this many new Canadians, it's not necessarily 5 years from then. They've already been here for a bit. So their path to home ownership is actually shortened. And the last thing they said, that at least that I wrote down, and then Steve, let me know if I'm missing anything.
You are.
Yeah, go on.
So it was 2.5 years for somebody who becomes Canadian that was already here to buy a home. It's 7 years for landing.
There you go.
And then buying.
Got
so
it.
Like if you're a new Canadian and you become a Canadian, like you get your PR and then come, which a lot of people have done, then it's 7 years. So his whole thing was basically like, he figures that we're going to be pretty flat for 2026, and 2027 is going to be some fairly good recovery. He thinks that his exact word was, it's going to be a good year.
Nope.
I've frozen.
There you go. You're back. As soon as you tried to say something positive, the government shut
the internet's
down.
like, no, you will not.
Oh, he's frozen again. But as Steve figures out his freezing, I'm going to kick him out here. He will come back. Also, the final thing that was said was that Ben was saying we're seeing less doubling up from new immigrants, which will create more demand in the market. And what he means by that is essentially that a lot of new immigrants, when they come to Canada, they will live together. They will double up. Steve is back. I just kept going.
Kicked me out. It said, thanks for joining. See you later.
I kicked you out because you were frozen. I knew it'd be the easiest way to get you back. What you missed.
You kicked me out. Okay.
What you missed is I told the viewers that the last thing that I wrote down that Ben said was that there's been less doubling up from new immigrants than we were previously used to, meaning lots of people living in more people living in a house than we would typically think. It's becoming more of a trend that they are getting older and wanting to grow their own families and moving into other spaces. Now, that alone will create some level of demand, whether that's on the rental side or the purchase side. Anything I didn't touch on that he had brought up that you wanted to mention? Or
no, that makes a lot of sense, because in my market, you definitely saw foreign students coming here, shacking up, getting six dudes in one basement suite. Now, 2 or 3 of those guys may not stick and they might end up back.
Sure.
Like the foreign students may go.
Yep.
But 1 or 2 or 3 of those people are going to stick, and they're going to start their own families, and they're going to, they're going to get out there and they're going to want to buy properties, and that's all going to take a time. So I feel like we are in the doldrums of the market. Like, I feel like we are in the bottom of the valley right now. We're in the bottom of the valley financially, economically, throughout the country, jobs, all that stuff. Like, we're in a dark place. But the cool part about being in a dark place is that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Unless you live in Antarctica and the sun has set for the rest of, until like a long time from now.
Or unless you live here on YouTube in the comments section, where I spend so much of my day fighting with people, particularly if you're gamers. So
you really pissed off the gaming community. I mean, there's not many communities that Steve hasn't pissed off yet, but we still keep talking about the fact that Steve's got a big take on teachers, but I don't want to ruin people's day. So even though I think it's actually going to be secretly positive because I know how he works, but we're wrapping up. There's no time for that today. We're at the end of the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching episode 189. Doing this podcast with you, Steve, has been one of the more consistent things I've ever done in my life. I enjoy it. I like these conversations. This audience is awesome. Thank you guys for being here. And make sure to like this video, get subscribed to the channel, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, a written review, so it shows up. We would really, really appreciate that. Steve, final thoughts?
Thought you were going to use something better than the word consistent. I was like, positive, happy. You're one of the shining lights of my day, Steve. One of these things. And you're like, well, I just do it all at once a week. So,
hey, Steve, you know that men can't say the word rough twice in a row?
Did you know you look like a pervert? Okay, we're done here for the day.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Oh.